All right, hey, what's up, YouTube? We're going to be concluding another market day. We've got about 20 minutes left and some strong movers. So I want to get this video out before after hours actually starts, so everybody has more time to kind of check out the stocks we have on today's watch list. Before we get into it, I do want to mention that leaving a thumbs up on the video does actually increase your trading accuracy. So if you want that trading accuracy to be boosted by 10%, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it. ISIG, Insignia, the electronics brand. They produce a lot of electronics. You might be familiar with the name. They kind of gave some news or guidance that they're going to be searching for different alternatives to for their production, and so they've been running off that news. And I'm not so sure that that's that great of news, but for some reason this stock did take off and kept a lot of momentum, jumped up about $10. So one of two things could be happening here. One, it's actually really good news for the company, and some people know that. Or two, it's just a good sign for runners today because people taking advantage of any news to kind of take profits and run up the stocks. So made a huge move today. Might be looking for some continuation tomorrow, but I'm not sure. I'm not so sure how how strong the news is. So I'd be just kind of careful where you enter. It doesn't look like it has any signs of coming back down, which is kind of the why I brought this one up. Last week we had a lot of pop and drops, and I kind of skipped over a bunch of those. But yeah, Cpix, this is another one that had a lot of room for running, and this one I believe didn't have any news come out on it. So I might be wrong. If I am wrong, correct me in the comments, please. I'd love to know, and I could update that. But as far as I know, there's no news on this one, and it's been running quite a bit too. So some of these small caps just kind of get a lot of volume and they just go. So I think that's another sign for kind of runners in the market. That's another good sign for right now. But we're going to get on to Cfvi. Cfvi is kind of correlated with DWAC. If you're familiar with DWAC, with the SPAC that had all the hype from Donald Trump about a month ago. I believe Rumble was going to go public or have some kind of partnership through Cfvi. So that's been running. It ran up yesterday pretty well. I believe the news came out around here, but the market didn't really react. They got kind of, I guess, a delayed reaction here, and then Trump confirmed it himself. So that's when it kind of came up. Now here at market open, I mean, it's kind of weird that they waited over the weekend. I'm not sure if the news came over the weekend or if it came out this morning, but the SEC was actually either investigating or requesting information from DWAC. And since this is kind of correlated, it kind of clapped DWAC a little bit. I mean, it kind of went down and stayed down. And CFVI kind of took a little bit of that hit. But it did have some pops because, of course, information request isn't anything too out of the ordinary. They're just requesting information. It's not like anything crazy is going on. But yeah, we're going to be looking for some continuation tomorrow because all the volume kind of got stomped out. It gapped up like crazy, hit like highs of almost 17, I believe, 16. And it got stomped out after that news. The volume just kind of wasn't there. People were kind of weary about it. So this is still a very strong stock. Rumble is kind of a competitive to the social medias we have right now. And they're supposed to be kind of countering a lot of the, I guess, terms of service that social media like Instagram, Twitter have. So, or a lot of the regulations that they have as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a direct competitor, and it's going to be something new. So I've been keeping it on watch, and of course DWAC is just correlated. DWAC is the one who directly got the SEC information request, so that's kind of why they stayed down. They didn't really pop back up much, but they did have a crazy gap up in the morning. So that's whoever caught this in the morning is great. LGVN, I believe they had news to this morning too. Right around here actually. I think this candle was the news. It just didn't react off it too much. Maybe the volume wasn't there, but it started curling up as the market started going up as well, and it popped off a few times. So LGVN is kind of one that's been very consistent these past 2 weeks, I'd say, since around that Thanksgiving time. It's kind of just once it hits the $16 mark or $20 mark, $22 mark, it always tends to pop up. We've gotten some good luck and had some news, but also whenever a lot of people start to realize it's a little bit lower, and since this is a smaller cap stock, like it gets pushed really quickly. So, and it has a big range. So it went from 16 to about 24. That's about typical from what we were seeing last week too. I think it went from like 22, like 32. So if you get in a good entry, this one's very nice. All you have to kind of do is wait on it. Olma, we're still talking about this one because tomorrow, I believe, it's going to be like a 3-day event, but they're going to be presenting something, potentially good news. And I'd expect it that if you go to a venue that you're going to be presenting good news, you wouldn't really go to a venue and say, hey, we haven't really done anything, or we missed, or we couldn't figure out what we were trying to figure out. So I'm expecting good news out of this. And it dropped about a week ago off of some false news that came out. There was a source that was kind of sketch, and it popped off initially, got halted, and came back down, all the way down. And so initially, it started trading at about half the price for almost no reason. The company itself kind of responded with some news a little bit early, and the news was pretty okay. It wasn't anything bad. So essentially, you either have this level evaluation plus a little bit more because of their news, but because of the fear sell-off, it just hasn't gotten any volume. It's been up the past few days. It's been green, even though the market was red. Just nothing crazy, just kind of going up and down. But within the next few days, I might be getting a few news. So we do have a catalyst here, and there's some pretty good range. So it's just one that we're kind of preemptively checking up on. It hasn't proven itself quite yet, but it's going to be interesting to see if it does, because we're catching it kind of early. Same thing with AERC here. This is another one. When it IPO'd at $40, we've talked about this quite a bit, but it IPO'd at $40, went up to 120, came all the way back down. Now it's sitting at 12. This all happened within a few weeks' time. And so it has a lot of range to play with. It can get pushed easily, and a lot of people had their eyes on it back here. So it's at a low. I mean, if it goes to zero, $12 is your max range down, which I don't imagine it would. But if it even gets hyped up again and kind of pushed up here, anywhere here, that's a lot of range to play with. We're dealing in like $20 increments, or $2 increments here. It's still a lot of range to play with. So we're just kind of keeping our eye on this one. We haven't been confirmed at all. Other than this, we did have a pretty big gap up here, and then it got halted, I believe, and then it just came right back down. But this was kind of what I was looking for, because if it could make this range here, I was looking for continuation the next day, but we had a pretty bad market day, and I think there just wasn't buying volume that day. So we were trying to see what was going to happen today. It looked like it wanted to try here. I was kind of excited. I was watching it, but I just decided not to. So it just takes one day for it to really kind of go, get a lot of eyes on it, and take off, really. So Bfri, it got halted up today. So it's just another one we're watching. It's kind of on the low, but it is showing still potential, and they have a lot of things in processing coming up for this next year that they might be getting approval on and things like that. So that's going to be what's on our watch list. We're watching a lot of the same stocks, some new ones as well, but the reason is because we're looking for patterns. So if we could get good entries on them, I mean, that's really what this is all about, is pattern. I mean, of course you need the volume there and things like that, but things like LGVN, if you catch it at the right time, I mean, you have very little risk and a lot of upside based on what it's shown. We're going to take a look at electric vehicle, because I believe they're all up today. They're all doing fairly well. We're going to go to Tesla first, because this is the bigger of the four that we're watching. So Tesla got to a scary level today. I mean, it hit 900 in general. Anything under 1,000 is kind of scary, because you would think it's kind of like a free fall. But it dropped with the market at the open. It kind of bounced right back up and then kind of held above. So this one's very interesting. Elon Musk has been selling his shares, and that's kind of what caused a lot of this downward catalyst. It did bounce back at one point, but it looks like people are just still selling. Lucid did pretty good today. They actually got news from the SEC as well. I believe theirs was a little bit different, but they had negative news on the downside too, but they still held up, which is kind of good. Ford owns a lot of RIVN, so whenever RIVN's doing good, they tend to do okay. They've also had good earnings on their own part, and they also announced a dividend, so they have tons of catalysts going in the positive direction. But yeah, they're doing pretty good. This was sitting at like $12 about a few months ago. And RIVN itself, finishing up very strong. It was about right here when I started recording, so we'll see what happens after hours, but we have a lot of EVs that are doing good. I mean, essentially all of them that are doing good now, as kind of we get back to the electric vehicle kind of market where that was taking over about a month ago. Let's see here. That's going to be it for this video. If you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comment section and I'll get to them. But yeah, do remember that if you leave a thumbs up on the video, you increase your trading accuracy by 10%. So let me know what happens after hours. If you guys have any plays, leave them down in the comments. And until next time, guys, peace.